In a stark and deeply personal revelation, Lady Gaga has shared that she entered psychiatric care following the production of her film A Star is Born, 2018. She described a moment of complete crash, a breakdown so severe she yelled out for help and realized she couldn't continue the world as she knew it. Her candor adds to a growing public conversation about mental health, especially within high-pressure creative industries. Yet what makes Gaga's story so compelling is the way it dovetails with her public persona, confident, avant-garde, at the top of her game, and yet privately vulnerable, battling inner turmoil. Here's a deeper look at the journey, what led to her breakdown, how the psychiatric care came about, what it meant for her artistry and public image, and the broader implications for conversation about mental health. By the time Gaga signed on for A Star is Born, she was already dealing with multiple burdens. Chronic physical pain, including hip injuries and fibromyalgia, systemic trauma from her younger years, and the relentless demands of stardom. The film amplified those stresses. Gaga not only starred in the lead role opposite Bradley Cooper, but sang, acted, and emotionally invested in a highly publicized project that required immersion into heavy themes: addiction, downfall, redemption. In an interview, she even noted that she filmed A Star is Born while taking lithium, a mood-stabilizing medication, and that her life was very far away from what she was supposed to be doing. The result was a perfect storm: creative intensity, physical pain, emotional overload, and medication. For many stars, that combination spells trouble. Gaga described a moment just prior to going into psychiatric care when her sister said, "I don't see my sister anymore." She had canceled the remainder of her tour. She said, "There was one day I went to the hospital for psychiatric care. I needed to take a break. I couldn't do anything. I completely crashed. It was really scary." The term crash here is deliberate. She emphasized how her usual armor of performance and persona simply collapsed. It's also consistent with her previous disclosures about a psychotic break he experienced, as covered in earlier interviews. What's especially significant, Gaga openly states she wasn't sure she could recover. She said, "There was a time where I didn't think I could get better." The hospitalization marked a pivot, not just taking time off, but a formal recognition that this was beyond fatigue, beyond burnout. It was a psychiatric crisis. Why she spoke out and what it means. Gaga's decision to speak publicly about this episode feels intentional. Given her visibility and advocacy through the Born This Way Foundation, among others, her admission potentially shifts the narrative around mental health, especially among top-tier performers. There's a dual purpose: personal transparency. She makes clear she is a healthy, whole person now, but that hasn't always been the case. Destigmatizing help-seeking. By saying, "I went into hospital for psychiatric care," she sends the message that even the most successful can reach a point where professional help is required, and that's okay. In that sense, her story aligns with emerging cultural shifts, recognizing mental health as part of overall health, understanding that creative brilliance does not confer immunity to deep struggle. Following the hospitalization, Gaga's career continued, but with a notable reframing. The album Chromatica 2020 explores themes of trauma, healing, and rebirth, music made not despite her pain, but through it. As she told Teen Vogue, "I would say that my mental health always played a really powerful role in making music. It was always when I was at my lowest that I wanted to sing." The trajectory looks like this: breakdown, professional help, creative reflection, new output. The hospital stay, or psychiatric care episode, seems to have been a turning point, to shift from simply performing to processing. In her public appearance and commentary now, Gaga emphasizes being in love, finding support, and realizing her life was precious. She said her fiancé, Michael Polanski, gave her a kind of caring she had never been loved that way. That shift suggests a more sustainable form of success, one that includes self-care rather than endless performance. Gaga's story holds relevance beyond celebrity. Here are some takeaways. Fame doesn't equal immunity. Even the most iconic performers are vulnerable. The demands of stardom, physical, emotional, creative, can yield serious mental health consequences. Psychiatric care is sometimes necessary. She did not frame her breakdown as mere stress or exhaustion, but as something that required professional intervention. That matters. Recovery doesn't mean perfection. Gaga states she didn't know if she could get better, but she did. The path is not linear. Having a breakdown doesn't mean you're broken beyond repair. Art can reflect healing. Her music and film work shifted in tone after the breakdown, showing how creative expression can become part of recovery, not just output. Advocacy matters. Because Gaga has been open about her trauma, including past sexual assault and mental health, her public disclosure helps normalize hard conversations. Support systems make a difference. Her mention of her sister, trusted people, and a partner who cared underlines the importance of connection in healing. To contextualize, imagine this scenario. On the outside, Gaga was at the pinnacle, filming a major Hollywood film, recording music, touring. Inside, however, her body is hurting. Hip injuries, fibromyalgia, and the pain is relentless. Her mind is labeled creative, expected to churn out brilliance and reinvention. The roles she plays, in film, on stage, demand emotional spillout, grief, obsession, addiction themes. She has to be on all the time. Downtime equals lost momentum. Underneath, unresolved trauma and anxiety shake the foundations. At some point, the combination of physical pain, emotional exhaustion, medication, performance demands, and trauma exposure hits a breaking point. Gaga describes it, "I completely crashed." She goes from "I can't do this anymore" to "I need hospital care." That's not hyperbole, it's crisis. The moment in hospital is likely lonely, frightening. A place where the stage is gone, the audience gone, and you're just yourself, with no costume, no mask, no role. The psychiatrist's office becomes the new arena. Therapy, medication, self-reflection become the work. It's important to note Gaga has not publicly detailed every clinical diagnosis or period of treatment. The disclosures are partial, but even partial transparency is meaningful. For example, she said she was on lithium during filming. Also, while psychiatric care is mentioned, the exact setting, duration, and treatment specifics remain private for good reason. Celebrities often have a blurred line between public persona and private person. Privacy matters. Finally, her situation is unique in many ways. Massive resources, global platform, entourage support. That doesn't lessen her struggle, but it means not every element will be identical for someone else. Lady Gaga's admission that she was hospitalized for psychiatric care after A Star is Born is a landmark moment, not just in her career, but in the broader conversation around mental health in high-visibility creative careers. Her journey from breakdown to new creative territory offers hope, and her willingness to state the truth publicly helps dismantle stigma. She shows that being at your best externally does not guarantee being okay internally, that reaching for professional help is a sign of strength, not weakness, and that life after crisis can still be vibrant, creative, and meaningful. For anyone watching from the outside, whether artist or not, the key message is, you're not alone, you can recover, and sometimes the greatest stories of reinvention begin in the darkest moments. Gaga's story stands as a reminder of that.